Yay, good, good, good. Someone does. Leo, hi, Leo. Good to see you. All right. Now, a few announcements. Um, where are we here? I want to first welcome everyone. Hey, Jane, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Patty, good to see you. Good to see you guys. Good. Yeah, we're starting to rock here. We are starting to rock. All right. First of all, uh, let's wait for another moment or two and for other people to possibly come on in. All right. All right. Who else is here? Hey there, Jane. Thanks for liking this, Jane. Appreciate it. All right. Let's get going. First, I want to welcome everyone here. I'm totally honored. There'll be others that'll be coming in and whatever. You'll be able to see the replay of this, maybe a minute or two after we hang up. So if you miss anything, that's fine. Don't worry about it. You can just do a replay on it. I hope all is well and everyone is doing just amazingly awesome. In this group, we're going to be um, forming a really solid community. I would love for that to happen. And I think we'll also be able to feed each other. You know, there's a mind that happens. And in that mind, it's people of, say, of a similar group, a similar mind. They come together, and there's also the information that's fed to each other. And so um, uh, subliminally and psychically, we can feel each other, we can sense each other, and we influence each other. And that's what this group is really about to me. It's also supporting each other and forming a real community. That's what I really like. And I hope to accomplish with everyone and to help everyone to become more conscious of that community. And as I've mentioned before, everyone uh, that I'll be uh, giving individualized lessons and talks that will be free. There'll be other classes that are going to be offered as we go on, not immediately, but they're being developed now, and hopefully soon we'll see, some that I'll be offering online, and everything's going to be online for right now, for the next several months. So I want to be able to offer as much as I can, and there's a class coming up. I believe it's in April. Am I correct on that, Lynn? That it's going to be, the first week, excuse me, I apologize, the second week in April, it's going to be a 5-day class. 4 days is going to be an hour each day. And in that hour, I'll be giving spiritual exercises, I'll be giving information, I'll be interacting with you. I'll be working with people to give examples and stuff like that. The class I'm going to give is going to be those 4 days of the instruction and interactions and questions, etc. And then on the 5th day, it'll be just strictly questions and answers. It'll only be for those who sign up, and to sign up, it'll be $250, and um, it'll be pretty outstanding. And you'll get a lot out of it. And it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or someone who's very advanced, you'll learn more information out of it. And I'll give everything I can to you in that class. And so, hey, Lindsay, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you here. And so please keep that in mind. It's going to start on April 6th, It'll be going from an hour on the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. It will be questions and answers. It'll be well worth the money on that. And it'll help you in your understandings. It'll help you with your integrity of working with healing. It'll give you more tools to utilize in your life. Also, I am available for appointments over the telephone only. And that's the way everything is going now for me. And so I want to keep that going and build it even stronger and stronger. I'm getting a tremendous response already in this. People that have a lot of knowledge or little knowledge of healing and what to do with themselves and how to help themselves, and pertaining to the healing, whether it be physiological, emotional, or biological or neurological or whatever, or skeletal. There's a lot of success, and the healing is very, very effective. There's really no difference as far as the effectiveness of healing on the telephone versus praying for someone versus in what I do in my type of prayer work versus seeing someone in person. It's all the same, and it affects people to varying degrees as it is. So I just want to let you know that's available, the telephone appointments. And also next week we have another one of these every week, every Wednesday at this time. And unless something spectacular comes up. And then also on the 7th, we have an online healing circle at night. So please do take advantage of that. That's going to be through Zoom. And Lynn's going to post information for you. And so please do follow through with these, and it's for your benefit. Let's see, I got a ton of questions, and please keep in mind, if you have questions that you want answered about anything, write them out on the site now, and next week we'll cover them. And I will approach them. Whatever's written, if it's of a logical mind or semi-logical, I'll answer it if I can. And I'll do my best in answering anything, please. And please do keep that in mind. I will be there for you in every way that I can, possibly. All right. First, who wrote the first question here? Sue, my friend. Let's see. She wrote recently. There's a couple of these that I didn't get to answer last week, and so I'll just do the couple and then plus several others. Sue Cavas, my dear friend, she wrote, recently I read the 8 statements of mastermind consciousness. Number 1 was surrender. It reads, I admit that of myself I am powerless to solve my problems, powerless to improve my life. I need help. And this just rubbed me the wrong way. I think what really rubbed her the wrong way was the last, I need help. And, it's a little archaic in the way that it's expressed, I believe. And so if God is not I always teach that God's not 3 or 4 stories up and 4 to the north. And if it's not within me and all, is there never a working relationship or something? Help me understand. And I realized that the godliness is within. That's what I teach. That's what I prefer in my life. And every concept, every percept is based upon that. And I really like to live that way as much as I can, as much as I am conscious of that. And we're not powerless by any means. And as you know, after all these years, those things in that perception is not what I teach. uh, that we're powerless to solve our own problems or powerless to improve our lives. I think what the author is trying to say, in some sense, is that I'm hoping is trying to say the author is that we do have the ability to tap into that from within ourselves, and that we're really not powerless in some sense, in what I teach anyway, and that we learn to go within ourselves. The empowerment is literally embedded within us to draw upon, I believe, and or else we wouldn't be alive. We wouldn't have existence to us if it wasn't there. And all we have to do is basically ask, because we're the perfect vehicle for it to come forth. We're created in its image. So we're the perfect vehicle for it to come forth. Because we have a subconscious mind that is closer to that essence. And I've been taught, and a little bit of experience, that we have a super subconscious mind, which is the mind of that divinity. And then there's the super subconscious mind, and then there's the subconscious mind, and then there's the conscious mind. And so we're drawing upon as much as we can handle that super subconscious mind. And it's within us, or else we wouldn't be able to draw upon it. And that we can eventually evolve into expressing that union between those minds that we carry within us. It's a part of us and we're a part of it. There's no separations of it. And this is also greater than any creature in this universe. And we've been endowed with so-called free will to express it, to make choices, and also decision, that we're created in its image. And we can utilize that. We can, the more conscious we become of that, we find out that it's more of us, and we can express it as deeply as we go. We're doing it anyway in our life. We're using our free will. We often make, incorrect choices because we didn't listen to ourself that's always expressing forth from us. So the godliness is always waiting for us to make a mistake and to strike us down by lightning. I'm only joking. If we make a mistake, it's not going to strike us down. If we're doing wrong or we do something incorrectly, it's always there. It's always waiting for us to acknowledge it, to go within ourselves, to find it. If we just, have the temperance for the moment to become really still. Hey, Gail, good to see you. And so, I think the idea is to, we have a choice in life at any given moment. And we can, if we're quiet enough inside of ourselves before we make the final choice and wonder what's more correct for us, we find out that it wants to share the more correct for us to express. And so that's what we're evolving into more and more in our lives. So maybe that's what the author was, trying to express. We have it within us. Yeah, excuse me for a moment. Going hoarse again. Good. Excellent. Good question, though. Steve, my friend, he wrote, surrender as an answer to that. In a sense, that's correct. In a huge sense. And that's what we have to do. And Steve wrote, I believe it's one of the most important things that we can do. To surrender is to allow the Spirit to take over in your life, to allow it to guide you. That's 100% correct. And that's the letting go to perceive of that voice within. And that is the answer. But surrender also means by being open, non-judgmental, not determining the way things should be for another in not knowing their true soul. The spirit is the activity, is the carrier of the activity in a person's life. The spirit is the carrier of the activity in another person's life. And it is also more. It is the carrier of life. It is the carrier of even our prayers that may not even be conscious to us. The spirit even carries the prayers of the collective mind of any organism to keep it functioning and going, even ours. It's impersonal in its nature, and that I believe. The spirit may also carry a message or even an understanding. For anyone to say otherwise is a misunderstanding in my belief system. So, good point. Good point. Yeah, it is surrender that we're going after, but the surrendering is being open. That's what I truly accept. Then we find that the so-called spirit, whether you call it the Holy Spirit or a spirit of life, a spirit of activity, it's the carrier, and we can perceive of it by being open in life and in our minds without the judgments or the preconceptions. Then if we have the judgments and the preconceptions and perceptions, then we're putting God in a box, and it's not going to go anywhere outside of that in our evolution. So we have to always be conscious that there's something more, and that spirit carries it. So then my friend Tamara, she wrote, "Panic. I would like your opinion on panic." And this is an elaboration on what I talked about last week. I would like your opinion on panic and how it relates to intuition. That may not make sense, but this week has been crazy, and my intuition goes into survival mode, which can turn to panic. I don't know, just wanted your take on that. And I wrote in this newer version of what I wrote about last week with her, or talked about. In this newer version of what I talked about last week. Sorry for that. Hi, Tamara. Panic and intuition are two completely different things. No relationship to each other. They have nothing to do with each other. Though, if we are in a panic state, then we're cutting ourselves off for the time. The intuitive message, sight coming from and through us, is not going to function when we're in panic. It's just not, because we're giving our attention to that. So, hey Michelle, good to see you here, and Gail. So, though, if we are in a panic state, then we're cutting off the intuitive state for the time, the intuitive message, the sight coming through to us. We're cutting it off because we're separating the divinity from the world we're living within. One way to help us, I believe, to blend both of these worlds back together is a simple exercise. And I think if we practice noticing objectively, indifferently, without emotion, if we can practice noticing objectively without emotion every time that there is panic, if we can just observe it just for the moment, then purposefully replace it with and see it as excitement of not normally knowing how to be excited. If we can just put it aside, that panic, just for a moment, by observing it objectively without even knowing how to be excited, then if we can remember what it was like as a child to be excited and replacing it for that moment with that memory that there's something happening but we don't know what it is, you'll see that the panic turns into excitement. It replaces it. Again, it's almost just like the child at Christmas time or a birthday time, knowing that there's some gift just waiting for us. Even though we're not children anymore, we can still do it. We can still experience that excitement of whatever that panic is, or whatever that fear is that's encroaching upon us, that's coming upon us. And you'll see that for the time, the panic goes away until it wants us to remember it again in a future event. Or when we're doing so well, that's when it usually hits us, when we've grown from something. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to panic or we're starting to fear, because that mind of fear wants to sabotage us. That's all it wants to do, because we've grown. But if we can see it as an excitement by replacing the panic with excitement, no different than when we were children, you'll see that if we can remember what it was like, we no longer have the panic within us for that moment, or for several minutes, or for the rest of the day, however long the new mind lasts. It's a part of us. Hey, Cynthia, good to see you. Good to see you. So, Connie, good to see you, Connie. Thanks for being here. So, there are two completely different things, panic and intuition. Intuition will kick in once we're not in the mind of panic. Once we're doing something, then you'll see, as you're focusing on something, the intuition comes forth from you as a guidance or direction, or an answer to something that you were wondering about. The intuition always there. Intuition means inner teaching. And we have availability, as I always teach, we have availability to the intuitive within, as even when we're in the shower, when we're focused on the water coming on us, or we're washing ourselves off, or shampooing the hair, or whatever, or we're doing dishes, when we're focusing on something. That's when the intuition comes forth. An aha moment comes to you, an answer to something, or about someone that we're concerned about. But we have that intuitive thought for the moment, and in that we're seeing something or hearing something, or getting guidance and direction, whatever, but it's always there. And what we perceive is nothing, because there's so much more that we're perceiving, but we cut it off. And we don't realize that there's more and more and more. But if we think about it for a moment and wonder and go over what we just perceived, we find out that there's more information given to us in that little bit. There's a whole world of information that can fill up literally volumes. So I hope that makes sense. My dear friend Diane, she wrote, let's see how we're doing good. Diane Joyner. Can loved ones communicate with us through dreams? And if so, is there a way to be more deliberate with the opportunity? Great question. And she goes on to explain a little bit here. One of my closest friends passed away last July. While we only knew each other for 6 years, her passing hit me really hard. I consider her to be a part of my soul family. She was like a spiritual running buddy. She was one of the best friends I've ever had. Since her passing, there's been a couple of incidents where I wondered if she was trying to communicate with me. A few weeks ago, I was talking to her in my head and in my mind while I was cooking. That's the moment when we're busy doing something. I said, I don't know if you can hear me, but it feels good to think that you can. And in my mind, I heard her laugh. Last night, I had a dream that I am trying to remember in detail. Usually, I can recall my dreams in vivid detail. I remembered that I had a dream about her just a few hours ago. I remember in the dream that I was trying to get a bunch of red flowers. I was searching for the rose because it was her favorite. She was there. I remember wanting to hug her, but for some reason I couldn't get to her. She looked at me and smiled with her big, soulful smile and said, I hear you, lady. And then she said something to me that I can't remember. After that, she said, you know, I would only know that if I could hear you. I remember the deep sense of emotion I felt after she said that in my dream, an overwhelming feeling of needs to release tears. But that's all that I can remember. Is there a way that I can recall what she said, or perhaps to try to communicate with her in my dreams or another way? Thanks much for any insight. Hello, my friend. Well, Teresa, hi, good to see you. Same here, Steve, good to see you. Well, I wrote and expressed to her, I'm expressing to her now that there are ways to contact those that have deceased, but why would we need to? And why would we want to, except for reassurance? We also have the ability to keep them earthbound versus going on to their next existence, and I wouldn't want to do that. It's okay, I think, to have someone in our heart, because they've been a great, fantastic example for us in life. They've helped to change our lives. But we're also, hey, Sue, but, you know, I think that she came to you, and I believe that she did, and I have no doubt about that, in my heart. And she was there for you when you were doing the cooking or the dishes, whatever you were doing. And, but she came to you as people, beings do come to us. And if we force an issue and we try to crash the gates of heaven by creating a situation, you know, what are we doing to their soul by keeping them earthbound? An aspect of them can come to us from those who have transitioned. They carry a message. They carry a message for us without us even knowing that they are there. And then later we'll realize, oh, I wonder if that was from my aunt or my uncle or my best friend. But I would think that if we were thinking from our heart, we could also help them by letting them go onward and not just keeping them earthbound for our sake. It's not going to do them any good. An aspect of them comes to you. Let it. And it'll come at opportune times when we're open. And there's always an aspect of them that comes to us, which is fine, but let it come to you and not forcing the issue of keeping them here to answer our questions or to have them acknowledge that they're our friends. They are our friend, or else they wouldn't be coming to us. They have a love for us. An aspect of their spirit is still with us, and always will be too, but they've gone on. I remember my main teacher in my order, back in the old days, he used to say, excuse me, he used to say that we come back approximately, give or take, every 40 years. And that was back in the 70s. But since then, I know that the soul carnates into another body in much, much less time. The world has changed, the vibration, the frequency. And so now everything is so much more expedient, and it can come back in days now, if the soul's place is to. Or it can come back in hours, who knows, or minutes. It's no longer the 40 years is my point. It may want to stay on that or in that other existence for a time. Who knows? Who knows? So, in any case, my friend Kathy, she wrote, "What does it mean to trespass against someone?" I think that's a great question, just like all these others. Just tremendous. In my immediate understanding, trespass against someone is offending them. It's offending them. It's demeaning them in person or in mind. If we feel ill towards someone, even with or without the ability to express it, that is also trespassing. And for every action, there is a reciprocating reaction. So if we have ill towards someone, then that's also affecting our life. Not only is it affecting us in mind, but also biology, neurology, and eventually physiologically. This is where I believe indifference and objectivity come in to eradicate the judgment and the judgments of our life. If we can maintain or learn about even the indifferences and the non-judgments of life, of people, of situations, then we're not carrying ill towards those things or those people. And we're not going to become even self-centered. The ability to not have a judgment against someone is being open. And so that's where it all comes in, to trespass against someone or another. Not to be opinionated, not to be judgmental. That carries ill, not only for the other person, but for us as well. So come clean. I'm just kidding. Michelle, my dear friend, do I need to keep my windows closed while self-isolating? A sincere question, thank you. I think that's a great question too. I wrote, hi Michelle. I know nothing about the medical world of germs or spores or parasites or even aliens. I know nothing about these things, though I have seen aliens. Uh, but I've always believed fresh air is awesome for everyone. I also watched a movie one time, and that the societal mind of Europe, uh, just hundreds of years ago, Europe and the U.S., was not to bathe and not to be clean in any way, and to shut the windows if you're sick, to keep the windows boarded up. And for what reason, I don't know. I don't have an understanding why they did that. Um, Very archaic in thinking, though. And it was, I guess, uh, when people went to um, the Asian countries, the Asian looked at us like we were nuts, because they knew that health was with fresh air. And so I go with the fresh air. And they thought that we were just a filthy race of people, the white man, which I don't blame them. We were. And so in the old days, it was thought of that we were to be confined to a closed up room without circulation. But it turned out more people died from that, I think. And, though they didn't, the people of European countries and the United States, we didn't realize that for several hundred years that we were dying. In any case, then Sue, my dear friend Sue, she's my hub in Arizona. She wrote, I know that the universal laws of cause and effect, that there is a universal law of cause and effect, but what are some of the other universal laws? And how do they become universal laws? See you soon, she wrote. And I wrote, about 40 years or so ago, 45 years ago, one of my teachers was giving us a lesson about many of them. And it was a whole class. And there were several of us sitting around and just trying to absorb everything that we could. But since that time, I've really not cared about the universal laws, nor have I remembered them. And so, though I do know that there is the law of cause and effect, and there's also the law of manifestation, and there's a few others. And so personally, I've not really concerned myself with them, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't either, but I also know that they're meaningless unless we're living them in some way or another, and living in the mind that we have communion in. As we have this oneness or this communion in that mind, then they're more available to us. But I did give right before this gathering, I did give a quick look up into the book called the Kybalion. It's French named, and some of the first three, or the first three laws, are eternal and cannot be changed. And then the second one, that's the first one. The first three are eternal and cannot be changed. They're unmutable, and as they say. The second one is as above, so below. That's the first law of cause and effect. And anyone coming on during this gathering, you can replay it afterwards. So please keep that in mind. The second one is as above, so below. Everything is a reflection of everything. In other words, I'm keeping it really simple-minded when I'm expressing these things. And the third one is the law of vibration, that nothing rests, nothing. Everything is in motion. Even a rock has a vibration. It has a definite pattern, form, and shape to it. It's in vibration, and it has a frequency to it. Even a rock, even a piece of paper, everything of a solid nature. Nothing rests. And the fourth law is the law of polarity. Everything is dual in its nature. Everything. And it goes back to as above, so below. And it goes back to nothing rests. Everything has a polarity to it, a constant to it. It has a molecular motion of positive and negative ions, protons, neutrons, neutrinos, keeps on going. Everything has a polarity to it. Everything, there's a law of rhythm. Everything that flows and transcendence. Everything flows and transcendence. Everything's in motion, leading into the next. Then there's the law of cause and effect. And then the seventh law is the law of gender. Gender is in everything. It's even, it was shown to me one time that even angelics will take on whatever gender that you can relate to them. One may come off as, say, if you're a woman, you may like a female angel. And they may show themselves to you as an angelic that's female. There's, say, for a male, another one may come to you as a male, even though they carry both aspects. They're neutral in that. There's no gender, masculine or feminine. I know we also carry that within us. We have the masculine and the feminine aspects within us. There's literally gender in everything. It's the law of gender. And we carry all aspects of it, even with the flowers and all the elements. So, what I suggest, Sue, or anyone really, if you want to know about any more about the laws that there's 7 main ones that I'm aware of, and if you can look up the Kybalion, and it gives an understanding. And then if you were to even meditate on any of the laws, you can get information if you contemplate and meditate on them. And you'll get the information in answers that will be given to you according to where you're at in your life for any given moment. There'll be totally different answers in 5 minutes if you were to meditate on it or contemplate on them. And so, please, are there, let me see if there's any questions here. Good question, or good answer, Lindsay. She wrote when we were talking earlier. But could the author also mean that people need to believe in God so they do not become arrogant? Well, the divinity was within. We don't want to make that God something outside of us, 3 blocks up and 4 to the north. We carry that divinity within us. And so, good point. Good point. And oh, that's fine, Teresa. You can see it tomorrow. No problem. No problem. And let's see if there's any other questions here. Please, please. Lynn is with us, hopefully, and she'll be posting some of the information and events that are coming up. If you can do that, please, Lynn. And also, I talked about how we're having next week, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, this group. And then on the 7th, coming up, we're having the online healing circle. That's when I'll work with people individually. And so please do take advantage of that. And then on April 6th through 10th, for 5 days, I'll be giving a class. And it'll be for 1 hour each day. And on the 5th day, it'll be question and answer. And that will be on spiritual healing. So please do enroll in that. And otherwise, I'll be giving little 5-minute or 10-minute videos starting in a few days on this page in this community group. And there are also telephone appointments available if anyone's interested. So, Lindsay, you said you have a serious question. Anything that I can try to answer here? And please, while she's writing that out, if she is, please do keep in mind that I am here for you, and I will be, and I'll give you everything I can from my heart. All right. Here's Lindsay's question. I briefly met a man I felt connected to, and he seemed to respond the same to me, but we've never got together. I've never stopped thinking about him. I don't know how to answer that. We're connected, to everyone, even if we oppose them deeply. They have something to share with us about our life. And so, I don't know what else to say about that. We learn from people. We don't have to continually be a part of their life, and we find that out later in life once we learn something or once we completed something. Sometimes people get married deep in love, oftentimes, hopefully, if not most of the time. But then something happens in life, and we no longer have a need for that person in our life. Once in a while, that happens. It doesn't make us good or bad or right or wrong. We fulfilled what we needed to fulfill. And other times, it's our place, most of the time, hopefully, it's our place to be with that person for the rest of our life. And, my perceptions of things. And he was a mirror for you, and I believe that too. But, it's at the same time, Lindsay, that, maybe he served that purpose and helped you to realize things in your life, if not immediately, maybe later in life. We find these things out. So, all right. How are we doing on time? It's 5 till. All right. Please get me busy next time with lots of questions that I can try to answer. I just wish everyone, a very joyful and lovely week. And please, if there's anything I can help you with, let me know. I'll be here for you. And in a short time, in several days or less, I'm going to start posting some videos with instructional things about spiritual healing and understandings, I'm going to be doing them on video, and I think that's a great way for me to communicate with you. And please do post on this community group, and please do be a part of each other on this community group. And I hope you have contact with each person here in some way or another, and welcome the new people that come in. Help them feel that they can be a part of this too and contribute. And so, blessings to you all, and we are done. We are complete, as they say, as the Borg say. Lynn, you're putting everything up there? Good. Thank you so much, and blessings to everyone. Bye-bye.